You can have a seat. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hey, glad to have you here. My name is Drake. I'm the pastor here. You glad to be here? Okay, very good. Hey, just acknowledging the element in the room. Nothing's on fire. Our smoke machine is running as normal, but we're having some weird electrical issues in our building today. So if you noticed, it's like got camping vibes in the bathrooms in the hallway. So if you go visit the bathrooms, enjoy the nice camping lanterns lighting your way. We have like half of our building just deciding that it doesn't going to work today, so including our central air, which is not going to circulate the cool fog. So we're just going to hang out in the haze. Is that okay with everybody? All right, very good. You don't have a choice, but that's what we're doing. But I figured I would let you know about it. Hey, really glad to have you here. It is the 4th of May, so May the 4th be with you. Come on. We're currently catching up our kids on some Star Wars right now, and it has been a joy. They're like 7 and 9, and so we're getting into it, and it's cool to watch them lean in. And they're like, wait a minute, who's Darth Vader? Oh, yeah, it's cool. I'm excited. So happy May the 4th to you. Hey, really quick, before we get into it, just a couple of things. If you are a guest with us today, we're so glad to have you here in person and online. Our mission here at City Church, the reason we exist, is to help people find their way to God from where they are. And we do that by practicing the way of Jesus together here in Boulder. So what that means for you is no matter where you are on your spiritual journey, you're loved, you're safe, you're welcome here. We're so glad to have you. Our desire is to meet you where you are, help you take some next steps on your journey with Jesus. And so I hope that that's experientially true for you today, not just from the music and the platform, but rather by how you experience this community as a whole. And so really excited to continue our series today on the essentials. As always, you can go back on our YouTube channel, on our podcast, and pick up and carry along with us on what's happening if you miss a Sunday. But really, really cool what's happening and what God's doing in our community in this season. Also, before we get into the service, I just want to remind you, today we have teachers' gifts happening. Oh, well, here, sorry, these are out of order. I'll give them to you. City Group Interest Party is on June 1st. Okay, so I'm backwards, but this is important. Our city groups are how we connect and stay connected here. It's where we find accountability. It's where we practice the way of Jesus together. So shoulder to shoulder is great. We talk about the weekends as kind of the steering wheel to the ship, if you will. So we love gathering in the weekends. It's really important what God does here. But we flesh everything we do as a church from this place into our groups. And actually, that's where you find accountability and encouragement and community. And so again, we're practicing the way of Jesus. We actually see that happen tangibly through our city groups. And so a really, really great way to get connected, to stay connected, to grow in your relationship with Jesus no matter where you are. Our city groups kind of run in semesters. So the one that we're in right now is wrapping up. Our summer semester will kick off the second week in June. If you're not currently in a city group, then you can sign up for our City Group Interest Party coming up on the 1st. This is where you hear more about how they're structured, how to get plugged in, ask questions, meet some other people who are joining them. We're starting at least one new city group in the summer. We have groups that meet all over the city, different days and times, and so it's a great way for you to get plugged in here. And the Interest Party does not obligate you to a group. It will help you understand what you're committing to, how to get plugged in, and then to take next steps. Does that make sense? All right, 2 ways you can sign up. You can sign up on our website. On our homepage, there's a link for you to sign up, or you can circle the letter C on the connection card, either digitally or the blue paper ones in front of you, okay? And so if you want to sign up for the City Group Interest Party, that's just so we can have enough food for everyone and kind of have an idea of who else is coming. So we'd love to have you there. Does that sound good? All right. Hey, and also City Group Interest Party is a cool on and off ramp. Like, let's just say your schedule's changing or something's happening. We tried to get people to stick in communities and stay in it for the long haul, like to build relationships over the long period of time, not just moving around as you see fit. And so every now and then, your schedule changes, you get a new job, something happens to where, okay, my Monday group no longer works for me, even though I would love to stay. So this interest party also is for anyone who has to shift groups or the schedule's changing or whatever. Got it? All right. 3 people excited? 4 people. I'll take it. I love it. Okay. The second thing I have for you this morning is end-of-year gifts. So we have the privilege of being a radically generous church in a variety of different ways. It's one of our values to reflect the love of God in our city and to declare it. And so we have partnerships with Crestview Elementary down the street here in North Boulder and Centennial Middle School, and we serve them in a variety of ways throughout the year. But one of the ways that we do it is at the beginning of the school year and at the end. We just try to bless all the faculty, staff, and teachers and say, hey, we're so grateful for you and what you do. By the way, put our hands together for all of the teachers in the room. Grateful for you guys. Loving and serving well. And so here's the invitation today. Let you know about it last week, but it's happening today. So right after the service, you're going to see these 2 tables set up in the lobby. And there's a really cool way you'll be able to handwrite a letter/prayer to these different faculty and staff members at each of the schools. So if you'll just pick up one of those, put a Chipotle gift card on there, $15 Chipotle gift card. Come on. That's you can add guac with that, guys. That's generous right there, okay? And so gift cards for the teachers, and you're going to write them on a plate and put a little bow on it. Super cute, but just a way to bless them, not only with a handwritten note from you, but then we'll stick that gift card on there. So there's a whole station set up. Michelle, our director of operations, is going to be in the lobby helping everyone navigate that. But if everyone will help, I think we have 121 teachers and staff members that we're serving between the two schools. And so if you will just take a moment after the service, hang out, and help us handwrite some of those cards and put those together for the teachers that get delivered this week as we wrap up the school year. Is that cool? Awesome. Hey, and just really quick note, thank you for your radical generosity. Because of the generosity of this church financially, we get to do stuff like that. How cool is that? Let's go. Come on. And lastly, it's not a slide, but I'll just let you know, Growth Track Part 1 is happening right after the service today. So we've had 6 or 7 of you sign up for it right after the service, but even if you didn't sign up, it's 30 minutes of your time after the service. We've ordered pizza for you and drinks, and it's just like a quick intro into how to get plugged in here at City Church. So even if you didn't sign up for Growth Track, we'd love to have you stick around. It'll be in our community room right on the other side of these walls. And again, that'll kick off just a few minutes after the service is over, and we would love to have you jump in and just kind of take some next steps. It doesn't obligate you to anything, but it does help you know how to get plugged in. Make sense? All right, very good. Let's get into it. We are in this series called Essentials, and it's been a joy. It's been really, really cool to watch all that God is doing in and through our community, in and through our church, through this series, and I feel like it's been really foundational. City Church turned 6 in March, which is awesome. I'm grateful for that. That's awesome. God is just super, super good to us. And in the journey of planting City Church and watching all that he's doing and embracing the unique calling he has for us here in Boulder, the story that he's writing with the people that call City Church home is beautiful. And you're invited into that story. And part of it is this series is it feels like a platform for where God is taking us next. And so I hope that it's been helpful for you. Now, as a pastor, I get to do a lot of weddings and a lot of funerals. It's kind of fun. And I've been doing them for a long time at this point. And as I do weddings and funerals, for the most part, they're centered around being grounded in the love of God. Again, from my perspective, as a pastor, if it's a faith-based, funeral and a wedding, then it's centered around being grounded in the love of God. So for the starry-eyed couple, right, when we get together and we do the wedding for them, and it's always fun, it's a blast, and I love doing weddings and having Danielle with me and all of that. It's wonderful. For the starry-eyed couple, it's being grounded in the love of God as they step into a new season of giving themselves away, right? And marriage is a big commitment, a big covenant, stepping into a commitment to one another in front of everyone and with God. And there's this daydreaming that happens, which is absolutely beautiful, of kind of an anticipation over the story that their lives are going to begin to write together. And there's kind of this daydreaming around who are they becoming. Right? And over the course of time, as newlyweds, they get into relationship, they'll find very quickly that there's plenty of opportunities for sacrificial love and formation. And there's lots of beautiful things and lots of really hard things that come with that level of commitment as you enter into life together. But there's a lot of future anticipation of who we're going to become individually and together. Does that make sense? So on the front end, people are dreaming about their formation, both as a unit and individually in weddings. But also when I do funerals, when I get to meet with a grieving family, obviously, the tone is different. At the same time, for those who are followers of Jesus, it's typically a service grounded in hope and the love of God. As they remember, there's a real tangible hope and life after death, that this is not the end of the story. And so most of the time, it's a celebration of life. It's talking about this person's formation. So not who they were becoming, but who they had become. Does that make sense? So a lot of times you're at a funeral and most of it is spent talking about who those individuals had become, and you try to celebrate and you try to praise and you try to think about those things. And it's actually beautiful as well. So you have two sides, funerals and weddings. I see it all the time of people centered on who you're becoming. And I think, and I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty dang sure that who you're becoming is important to you, right? Who you're becoming is important. So you think about it kind of fresh on the front end, at different stages of life. When you graduate high school, when you graduate college, when maybe you get married or you enter into a new season or you move somewhere, you're thinking about formation stuff. And then at the end of your life, kind of the obituary conversations, what are people saying about you? Who did you become? Those conversations matter a lot to you, right? You care about, you want to think about, am I becoming the kind of person that when I'm dead and people are talking about me, they're probably not talking about my degrees and how much I had in the bank and what kind of car that I drove, but who I became, right? And on the front end, you're trying to dream about that. But here's what I know, is as important as becoming is, as important as your formation, your character, who you're becoming from the inside out, how people experience you, as important as that is, it consistently takes a backseat to the busyness and the distraction of life, does it not? Right? Odds are, the last 7 days of your life, you didn't spend a ton of time thinking about your funeral. Odds are you didn't spend a ton of time thinking about who you're becoming. Quickly, if you get married, I remember when Danielle and I got married, you start dreaming, okay, who am I becoming? You're thinking about that, but very quickly in life, it kind of takes a back seat. Not that it doesn't matter, it's just not at the forefront in the middle of busyness and life. Does that make sense to you? Do you feel that, like that becoming conversation? Is that on your heart and mind a little bit? Well, if it's not, we're going to get there. Who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? It matters a great deal to most of us, but it easily takes that quiet back seat in the normal grind of life. We've been in a series called Essentials, these 9 practices from the way of Jesus that are intended to shape our becoming. They're intended to be a catalyst, tools to help you in who you are becoming. So we've covered things like prayer, the practice of prayer, the practice of scripture reading. We've talked about silence and solitude, getting away and being quiet. We've talked about the practice of generosity. We've talked about the practice of disciple making and sharing your faith and helping other people apprentice their lives under Jesus. We talked about the practice of fasting and hungering more for God as we give up other things. We talked about the practice of Sabbath last week. How did it go? Anybody practice Sabbath over the last 7 days? How'd it go? Woo. Ooh. I thought it was a pretty good sermon, but maybe we'll have to go revisit that. I've heard some really cool stories about what God did over the last 7 days for people that chose to practice the Sabbath. And today, we're gonna talk about service, serving others. And all of these are a means to an end. Listen to Richard Foster on the practices. Here's how he says it. He says, we must always remember that the path does not produce the change. It only places us where the change can occur. This is the path of disciplined grace. So when we talk about the practices, when we talk about the disciplines, we talk about the things that we do as followers of Jesus, including gathering like we are right now, joining a city group, and all the things I just mentioned. Those are a path that put us in a place to be formed. They're a means to an end. Does that make sense? It's really easy, friends, to start to get into some rhythms, and you start reading your Bible, or you start giving a little bit, or you start serving, or you start doing some practices which are great, and they'll start doing something to you, but it's easy to get in the mode of just doing stuff. And have you ever found that you've done stuff for a long period of time and it didn't change you all that much? You ever read the Bible a couple of times and didn't feel all that changed? You ever sat through a couple of sermons and you didn't feel all that changed? So our formation is interesting because we are trying to partner with God in formation, but he's the one that's going to do the changing as we place ourselves in a place to be changed. Does that make sense? So that's what the series has been about, is, hey, if you want to focus on who you're becoming, if you want to partner with God in your formation, then there's some things that we can do to put ourselves in that position. So recently, Danielle and I put in a trampoline in our backyard. There's Daniel doing what friends do. We didn't have a ladder tall enough, so he decided to provide some support. His hands were getting a little close, though. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But Daniel decided to help me as we put in this trampoline, and it's really exciting. Like in our neighborhood, Danielle and I have this desire to be like the fun house, right? Like just as our kids grow and as they make friends, like we want to be the family and the kind of house where all their friends want to come hang out so that we can carry influence, so we can love and serve well, so that we can meet their friends and invest in their families and all of that, right? We want to be that fun house. And it consistently happens in different ways. And so it's not a bait and switch, like the trampoline's for our kids, for sure. But as a result, we get to share it with our neighborhood. And so then we get, kids trickle around, and it's fun, and we get to like let other kids bounce on it. And Daniel and Michelle come and play on it too. And it's a lot of fun to get to have this space. And so yesterday, we are all hanging out on Sabbath and resting well. And I jump on the trampoline with my kids for a bit. And then I start to work on one of our cars just for fun because I'm kind of kinesthetic that way. And I just get to unplug. So I'm working on the car, and my kids, like, they just love to hang out with people. And so every 5 minutes, it's like, hey, can we go ask our friends if they're free? And so they go around the block and get a couple friends to play with them. And then they get a couple more friends. And over the course of time, there's just kids hanging out all around me. And I'm hanging out in the car and got some music playing, and everybody's having fun. It's great. Everybody's having a really, really good time. And after a few hours, right around the sun, it was a pretty warm day yesterday, and after a few hours, I think the kids started to get tired. The sugar from the popsicles started to wear off a little bit. And so it went from like just tons of fun and excitement to a little bit of like crankiness and maybe getting fatigued and you don't know what to do. Your body's tired and you're little and you don't know. And so then there's also like this kingdom wars going on, right? Trying to figure out my domain against your domain. And are you listening to my rules or are you going to listen to mine? And so the kids start arguing a little bit back and forth and everyone's just kind of, getting tired. You been there? Yeah, like when you get hangry at work and like every evening with your kid. Anyway, wherever you are, right? We get there where we just kind of start to go downhill a little bit. Maybe we need like a snack and a break somewhere. And over the course of time, as I hear them continue to argue, I'm trying to help them out a little bit, but I've got my head upside down in a car, right? So I'm like, hey guys, work it out, And then finally I get out from under the car because they just keep arguing and I go and start talking to each of the kids. And listen, I'm a great guy, okay? I'm a really good guy, and our goal is to be the kind of family where everyone wants to hang out, right? And so naturally, I just engage with these children in a way that makes sure that they want to keep coming back. And at the end of it, 3 of the 4 of them go home crying. It was great. Yeah. So check that one off. Like, we're crushing it. Danielle wasn't out there. It's my fault. And so it would have been way better if she was there. And apparently, I was maybe a little too aggressive with my tone in response to, anyway, 2 of the kids were mine, so that counts a little bit, right? I like my own kids cry, but hey, crushing it. that was my yes. How was your Saturday? Just making all the neighborhood kids cry. Doing great. Do you ever surprise yourself? You ever do that where you think that you're one way, and then you look at yourself and you're like, whoa, like where did that come from? Obviously, as the kids begin to trickle away from my house in tears, I question, wonder why their allergies are so bad. Like, right? I'm kind of like, wonder if I could have done that differently. And I think about that. I'm like, that's interesting. I thought I was one way. I'm digging it, man. I'm in Sabbath mode. I'm so rested. I don't feel angry. I'm not tense at all. And then the kids leave my house crying. Here's what Tyler Staton says that has been sitting with me all week. He asked this question. He says, am I becoming a person of love to the people who know me best and interact with me most frequently? Am I becoming a person of love to the people who know me best and interact with me most frequently? And not a person of love in whatever cultural definition, but he's talking about in the way of Jesus. Am I becoming a person of love to people who know me best and interact with me most frequently? Danielle and I have conversations about that often. Man, if people could just see the Drake that I see on Tuesday night. Yeah, I feel that sometimes. You ever feel that? I surprise myself on who I think I'm becoming and who I really am. And how do you wrestle with that tension? How do you actually become who you want to be? And how do you become the person that you want to be in such a way that other people actually experience you in that way, right? I think that's the evidence. Not how I think I'm perceived, not how I think I come across, but rather how other people actually experience me. And the goal is that they would be, my goal anyway, is that they would experience Jesus through me. That would be my desire. I'm not sure that I aced that one yesterday as the kids left crying. Now, for what it's worth, I followed up. No emotional scarring. Everyone's okay. Mainly feelings and in heat. I just was a catalyst for a little bit of help. Tears were already there. I just helped them come out. That's all, okay? You could say I'm a therapist. It's great. All right. So Luke chapter 10 is where we are today, and I just want to give you a picture, a very simple picture that will help you become the kind of person I believe that you want to become on the inside. That maybe sometimes takes a back seat, that becomes less of a priority in the middle of busyness and all of that. I understand all of that, and I wrestle with it just like you. But let's listen to Jesus on this conversation and see if there's something for us here. Danielle read this earlier. On one occasion, an expert of the law stands up to test Jesus, and he says, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" What you need to understand about this question in the first century was not like, he's not asking, what do I need to do to go to heaven when I die? The understanding of eternal life absolutely included like forever, but it also included right now. So maybe a better translation is hey, teacher, what does it look like to really step into the good life? Like right now, like what is eternal life now and forever? What does it look like to live the good life? And then Jesus asks, and again, this is someone who's saturated their lives in Jewish law. What is written in the law, he replies. How do you read it? And then he responds, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your strength, and with all of your mind. All of you. Love God with everything. And then he goes on, and love your neighbor as yourself, quoting from the Torah. And then Jesus looks at me, you've answered correctly. Here's what's amazing is there's tons of people all around Jesus who know all the right answers. They know all the right answers, but there's something disconnected between what's happening in their head and then what's happening in their heart and what shows up with their hands. And so this guy has all the right answers, but there's something off in his heart, and Jesus is about to reveal it. You've answered correctly. Do this, and you will live. You'll experience the good life that you're after. But wanting to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? Trying to figure out, like, where does Jesus land with this law stuff, and how does this actually work out? So Jesus tells a story. He goes on. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and when he was attacked by robbers, they stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, a pastor. And when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, a city group leader, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan was going to be someone from Jewish lineage who had married into other cultures, and so they were looked down upon, considered like animals by the Jews, detested. And Jesus uses him as the hero of the story. A Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. That word pity can also be translated compassion, which I think is a better translation for us to really understand and feel that. The Greek word is using this idea of the feeling in the bowels, in the guts. You ever felt something deeply? You ever had something just move you deeply? Whether it was like from a movie, you notice how like some movies can really move you? Like, oh man, we were watching Star Wars, May the 4th. It's appropriate. Watching Star Wars last night with our kids, we're kind of moving through it. And there's that moment when Annie's mom dies, and you watch him, right, already wrestling with what's going on the inside. Already, right, he's always back and forth. I know who I should be. I'm supposed to be this kind of guy, but I'm struggling, and he's back and forth. But then in that moment, you see something break inside of him, don't you? And he loses it. And then he keeps wrestling with this. Again, it's the back and forth. It's the dark side inside all of us. And honestly, in that moment, you can feel for him, can't you? The rage that he's experiencing because his mom has suffered unjustly. And he's got the power to do something about it, but he didn't have the power to save his mom. And you feel that, right? 3 of us? You feel it. This is what's happening. I want you to notice that the Samaritan does something unique that the other 2 did not. They kind of observe and then go on the other side of the problem that they encounter, whereas this one, he sees, and then he lets his seeing move to action. He takes pity on him, his compassion. He goes on. He went to him and he bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine, put the man on his donkey, brought him to an inn, took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, which is a substantial amount of money. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for anything else on top of it. Do you see how interesting, right? This stranger looks at this person who has been cast aside and says, they're totally worth it. They're carrying immense value, and they're willing to sacrifice on their behalf. And it's kind of crazy, is it not? This is pretty extreme. Which of these 3, Jesus said, do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? So not just what is the command, but Jesus asks a very pointed question. Who actually lived like a neighbor? Who put it into practice? And the expert in the law said, the one who had mercy on him. And Jesus said, go and do likewise. Do you remember the original question? How do I inherit eternal life? Jesus, what's the access point to the good life? Listen, everyone in here is chasing that. Whether you're asking that question out loud or not, what does it take to get to the good life? Is it a relationship? Is it a career? Is it a degree? Is it a little more stuff? Is it accumulation and materialism? Is it experiential? Is it just a couple more trips and experiences and a couple of more climbing trips and whatever? You know, we have all these different things that we do just trying to get a hold of the good life. Is it when X number of people know my name? Is it when I have this much in the bank account? Like, what is the good life? And Jesus, very simply, says you're going to find the good life in serving others. If you want to find the good life, you're not going to find it in what you can get, but what you can give. The good life does not make a lot of sense in the world that we live in, but Jesus says this is where you're going to truly find life. Listen to Richard Foster on this conversation. He said it this way: more than any other single way, more than any other single thing that you can do over the next 7 days, the grace of humility is worked into our lives through the discipline of service. I hate every word of that sentence. More than any, you know what? I would like to be a humble person, wouldn't you? I would like to be known, like at the end of my days, I would like to be known as someone who was maybe tough for people but tender with people. Like that humility was a part of the character that I carried. I don't know that that's always the story that my life is telling to the people that are closest to me and know me the best. How about you? He says, if you want to grow, humility is a funny thing, right? To grow in this space, if you want to grow in humility, like trying for it kind of seems counterproductive. Like, oh, I'm so humble right now. You ever been there, right? It's kind of this weird, like, how do you foster humility? Like, literally, the effort in it almost starts to contradict like, how do I do this? He says, serve others. Reflecting on what Jesus said, hey, you want the good life? You want to see your soul come alive from the inside out? You want to know what you were truly made for? Loving God and people. And you're going to find it in service. Jesus didn't just teach on this, though. He modeled it. Mark chapter 10. Even the Son of Man, in response to his disciples, his like top 10 or top 12 guys, all of his leaders, they're all arguing about who's the greatest and who's going to be the leaders. And Jesus responds to them, guys, no, listen. The Son of Man, speaking of himself, didn't come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus is flipping leadership upside down. He says service is the way to true life. And he models it. Listen, he didn't have to, right? He's the King of Kings. He's God in a bod. I mean, if anyone had the authority to step in and say, all right, you guys do what I say, it was Jesus. And everyone's looking for that kind of leader in the Messiah as they think about God remaking things. And Jesus says, I'm going to remake things in ways that you could never imagine. I came to serve, to give my life as a ransom for many. So let me give you one more picture, and then we'll begin to land the plane. One more picture from John chapter 13. This is right before Jesus goes to the cross. He's sitting around a table with his best and closest friends. They're sharing a meal, the Passover. And this is eventually going to point to Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection on the cross. And this evening is amazing. He's in an isolated room with his 12 other guys. It's very intimate. It's very beautiful. It's very worshipful. And then we see this happening in John 13. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So as a result of this knowledge, you understand, like John's giving us a key here. Jesus knows something about himself and about God that informs how he's about to behave. Are you tracking with me? This is important. Listen, what you know about yourself and what you know about God, not just in your head, but experientially to be true, will inform how you behave. It informs what you do. It informs how you respond. And for Jesus, this is what happens as a result of who he knows he is and who he knows God is. He gets up from the meal, takes off his outer clothing, wraps a towel around his waist. After that, he pours water into a basin, and he begins to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Now listen, it's beautiful. We love to make this all oh wow, so amazing of Jesus to serve. Listen, this is crazy. And we actually see it. Peter freaks out. Jesus, you can't, you shouldn't be washing my feet. I'll wash your feet. No one would have taken up this job. There was a reason that no one's feet had been washed yet. Because everyone's still arguing on who's the greatest, and only the lowest of low in the social class would be the ones washing feet. This was crazy for their rabbi and their Lord, the Messiah, to stand up from the table and begin to serve by washing their feet. Open-toed shoes, walking around on dirt roads, and animal feces everywhere. Every time you went into a home, you would wash your feet because they're nasty, kind of similar to how we wash our hands, right? You've been to the airport? You watch the number of people that walk in and out of the bathroom without washing their hands? Yo. No wonder COVID took off like it did, right? Like airports. Anyway, wow, that's not, but like that times 100 in the sense of walking into a home, you're sitting at a table and your feet are there by the table, right? You're like, yo, that's, so washing feet is a really, really important deal, but it is reserved for the lowest of low in the social order. And Jesus gets up from the table and begins to perform this service for his disciples. Now watch what happens. John tells us, and again, John was there, okay? John is one of the participants in this room receiving this act. When Jesus had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes, returned to his place, and listen to this. He said, "Do you understand what I have done for you? Do you understand what I have done for you?" It's a big question. He asked them, "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that's what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet." This is wild. For Jesus, if you want to experience the good life, pick up the towel. For Jesus, if you want to lead from a place of joy, it's going to be in the place of service. Do you understand what I have done for you? Let me give you two very simple applications things for us today from these two passages that we've looked at in the practice of service when it comes to serving others. The first question is very simple. What does spiritual formation do to me? Like when we talk about service, we talk about prayer, we talk about gathering, we talk all the things that we do, what is it doing to me? And Jesus is doing something beautiful in this moment. What's significant here is that Jesus was so secure in his identity as a son of the Father. He's so secure in his identity that he gets up to freely serve those around him with the love that he had received from God. Do you see that? So one of the things that Jesus wants to teach you is for you to take off, like he takes off his robes, right? For you to take off that false self, that self that you're trying to drum up your own worthiness in, all the accolades, all the things that you think make you significant. He wants you to be able to take that false self off and know who you really are as a loved son or daughter of God. You see, Jesus performed this act of service from the place of his identity. Did you see it? So many times, friends, because we don't know who we really are, because we're not secure, because we're kind of scrambling for that security, it informs how we behave, does it not? How we act, how we react, how we engage, what we avoid. But Jesus is saying, listen, if you can get your identity secure in who God says that you are and what he's done for you, it'll change the way that you look at other people. You have nothing to prove, nothing to hold together, and nothing to lose. The invitation of the practice of service is to begin to take off the false self so you can truly be who God has called you to be. It forms you and helps you receive the love of God. The second thing it does is it works through you for the sake of others. It's a pretty beautiful moment that we see Jesus using here to serve others. And as we get ready to land the plane, I'm going to invite Kwesi to come. He's going to play the keys, and we're going to reflect on this very simple invitation, because honestly, as I prepared for this message today, service kind of seems mundane. Like, it's not exactly an exciting, like, everyone's like pumped about Sabbath last week, like, oh yeah, let's try this practice that I haven't tried before. But service, maybe you already do a little bit of it. Maybe like you have a little bit of activity here and there. Like, it's just not that exciting. And so why would I be motivated to lean into this practice? Partly because of what it does to you, but also because of how God uses it to form others. You see, Jesus doesn't just pick up this story of the Good Samaritan and say, oh yeah, serve some stranger over here, have compassion for them. Right? Jesus could have said, hey friends, come with me and let's go over here and let's go to this leper colony and let's wash some of their feet. Hey, you see what I'm doing here? You should do the same thing. Jesus could have done that, couldn't he? But who did he do it with? He's in a really tight-knit room with 12 of his closest friends, and those are the people that he chooses to serve. You see, for Jesus, service is not meant to be something that's like extravagant and really big, and we do it out there for everyone to see. Jesus says, man, it's meant to be saturated in every place that you find yourself. So the Good Samaritan, he's traveling along a road. We don't know why he's on that road. But in the process of traveling, every area is an opportunity for God to work. Do you see it? But then in the room with his closest friends during a meal that was expected, he also chooses to serve in that place. Jesus would say, listen, friends, if you want to tap into life that is abundant, Look in the ordinary places. Look at your circumstances. Look at the relationships around you and begin to serve there. You see, I've been following Jesus since I was 15, and the gift of service has blessed me in a lot of ways. And I've learned over and over again what like just how to serve people, and it's great. I love it. But here's what God is confronting me with, and this happens every now and then. Sometimes I feel like I can stand up and talk to you about something from a place of authority, like I'm living this, and God is crushing it, and here's the example. And other times I feel like I got to stand up here and be like, hey guys, if we're being honest, I kind of suck at this conversation. Like I do a lot. I serve a lot. And I feel like I do it out of a pretty good heart posture most of the time. But what Jesus has been teaching me this week from this conversation is it's quite easy to pick up a project of love. I could do that a lot. Serve at the homeless shelter, serve on a weekend, make some coffee, serve a neighbor. Like a project of love is one thing. It's quite easy to pick up a project of love. It's way harder to become a person of love. And again, it comes back to that conversation that Tyler Staten asked. He's like, the people that are closest to me, that experience me most consistently, are they experiencing me as a person of love? You see, I'm great at projects. I'm great at doing stuff. I can stand out in the lobby and write on some plates, give cards to teachers. Great. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with serving at the homeless shelter and our food bank, right? Those are all great things. And I believe they do something to you, but at some point you become confronted with what's going on the inside. And here's what I'm being confronted with is ask my kids how I made them feel yesterday. Ask my wife how well I do at listening and not interrupting. See, I'm great at picking up projects of love. I'm pretty good at it, actually. But every now and then I look up and I'm like, man, I don't know that I'm becoming the person of love that I want to be. The whole point of the practice of service is that it can be engaged everywhere. And the very simple invitation that I would invite you and I to consider today is, God, what have you put in front of me for me to pick up, put a towel around my waist to begin to serve? So again, the question from Staten is this. You guys have that? Thank you. Am I becoming a person of love to the people who know me best and interact with me most frequently? Am I becoming a person of love to the people who know me best and interact with me most frequently? And as we begin to serve others, God's going to reveal those things, what's going on, just who you are really, what are your motivations, taking off the false self, becoming true. So listen, there's a lot of ways that we serve here at City Church, and they're great. I love it. Can we just take a moment and put our hands together for everyone who serves here at City Church? It's amazing. And I want you to understand, listen, when we gather like this, and we have individuals serving at City Kids today, and serving on the cafe, they got your coffee ready, and we have the welcome team outside, and we have the band and our production team getting everything ready, and we have our prayer team that's going to be up here in a moment, right? All these different teams, they serve, and it's great. Do you appreciate them? Yes? Yes, come on, they're awesome. And we're so grateful. We're so grateful. Here's what I want you to get, though. Listen, they are not the end goal. They are a means to an end. Everything we do here at City Church as an act of service is the training grounds so you can carry that same posture into the world around you. Does that make sense? If you're not careful, it's easy to be like the one who's kind of questioning Jesus, and I know all the right stuff, and I served this weekend. And the 6 other days of a week, we carry a posture totally blind to the needs around us. But Jesus wants this to be a training ground where we serve one another in practice, and then we take that to the world around us. So I'm grateful for everyone who serves here at City Church, but I want you to have a vision for way bigger than what happens in a weekend or in a city group, and recognize that there is a world around you that God is inviting you to serve in. And as you do that, you'll discover more of who God is, more of who He says you are, and more of who others are to Him as well. Listen, where do I get this kind of love? I mean it's kind of crazy, right? That Samaritan story sounds like it cost a lot. It's pretty inconvenient. Oh man, that's hard. Like, where do I get that kind of love? Like how do I live from a place of wholeness and completeness and compassion and beauty? Like, how do I carry that kind of healing in my life? I mean, it'd be great if people talked about me like that at the end of my life, right? That'd be sweet. But how do I get there? Do you understand what I've done for you? The words of Jesus. Do you understand what I've done for you? See, just as much as the parable is a story for us to serve others, it's also our story. Jesus looks at you and he looks at me. He says, friend, you were the one in the ditch. You were the one beaten. You were the one dying. You were the one stripped. And you were laying there helpless and defenseless, and other people were leaving you, and no one was coming to your aid, but I did. I came to your side. I said you were valuable. I picked you up. I put you on my own donkey. I carried you to an end. At my own expense, I put oil and wine on you for your healing. That's Jesus' body and blood shed for us. Out of my own expense, out of his own account, he took care of you. Man, how do I live from a place like that? First, you have to receive what's already been given to you. You see, Jesus stands up and he serves the disciples out of a place of security. He knows who God is and he knows that he's loved. Can you do the same? Do you know the love of the Father for you today? Have you reflected on what he's done for you and the life that he's given you and how he's made you new? I heard it said this week that the invitation from Jesus is to spend grace like we can never bankrupt our account. Spend grace on others like our account can never be overdrafted. Right? We give from a place of receiving. If you want to know the grace of God, you give it away. Mother Teresa said it this way. We'll end with this. It's not how much you do that counts, but how much love is in what you do. It's not how much you do that counts, but how much love is in what you do. So maybe a simple prayer of the heart today is, God, give me somebody to serve today. Give me someone to serve today. Or maybe for you, it's for the first time allowing God to serve you. Receiving the grace of God in your life so you can freely give it away. Let me pray for you. God, I want to say thank you for this church. I want to say thank you for this gathering. I want to say thank you for Jesus. He taught us a better way. He showed us a better way. And he made a way for us to step into that life. I'm thinking about my friends in the room, and in some ways, this conversation feels so uninspiring. Service is just not that sexy. It just doesn't get a lot. It doesn't exactly drum up like this I'm a big deal kind of an idea. But at the same time, God, I think there's an ache on the inside of us that says, I want to become a person of love. Not so other people see it and make a post about me, but rather so they experience the love of God through me. God, and I'm consistently confronted with the reality that I am not who I think I am. And there's a false self that I have to continually take off, and I have to come back to you and receive identity from you, that you really love me, that you died for me, rose again to give me new life, and I can receive from that place and I can give from that place. For my friends in the room, I pray that you would speak to them very clearly today about your priority over their life. For some of us in the room today, it's simply receiving the love of God. To put ourselves in the story of the Good Samaritan and recognize that we're the one that's been left and abandoned and broken and dying, and you came to rescue us. Would we allow you to rescue us today? For others of us, we are in that posture of wanting to grow as persons of love, but maybe missing the forest for the trees. Maybe our lives are filled with activity, but we're totally missing the bigger picture of who we're becoming. So God, maybe you have some things that you want us to do. Maybe it's signing up for a team. Maybe it's letting the grounds of our gathering to begin to train ourselves in love. It's serving others, and maybe not just in a formal way. Maybe it's not just making coffee. Maybe it's going and praying for someone. It's before and after the service, engaging in conversation. It's sharing a word of prophecy or encouragement. It's having someone over for dinner. Or maybe, God, it's this week as we go out, we find ourselves at work or on our way to work or in our neighborhood, and there's someone to serve. And we be able to do it from a place of security and give away your love. And maybe it's actually in the circles where we're already just in our families, with our roommates, in our classrooms. Maybe it's being the kind of person that can sit and listen. Maybe it's giving a word of encouragement or correction. God, there's a lot that we could do. But I pray that our inspiration today is not just to try to do a little more and see if we can become more persons of love. Pray that we would listen to you and find the opportunities in front of us to engage in service. So Jesus, as we worship and as we respond, would you speak to us and help us to put it into practice? Amen.